Free trade between Canada and the U.S. and Mexico is in the spotlight this week. High-stakes hearings are taking place in Washington as the Trump administration considers whether to renew, to renegotiate, or to withdraw from the North American trade deal. Business leaders who testified so far want it to continue. CBC's Katie Nicholson is in Washington for us. Katie, you've been listening in on these hearings. So what's being said today?
You know, a lot of the same flavor that was sort of heard yesterday from some of the agricultural stakeholders. Today we heard from the auto industry, from steel stakeholders. It's the same message. They like CUSMA. They don't want to lose it, but it's not perfect. We heard from steel producers talking a little bit about how much they liked those Section 232 tariffs, and despite that, they still want to hold on to CUSMA and sort of renegotiate certain terms. It was a time to really bring forward their wish lists. So talking about wanting to bring Canada and Mexico more in line with the U.S. around the tariffs on foreign steel and imports that way, particularly targeting Chinese steel. A lot of complaints throughout that session about sort of an infiltration of Chinese steel to the North American market. From the auto industry, we heard really some impassioned pleas around the importance of CUSMA, particularly from some executives who were in from Michigan. There was one who actually said, CUSMA is more important than ever now because of all of these other trade deals that are being struck with other countries, pointing to Japan, the UK, where some of these cars and auto parts are subject to a much lower tariff rate, talking about 10%. So this is sort of the flavor of the discussions today. And tomorrow we'll be hearing from industry, sort of the technology side of things, as well as some fisheries stakeholders. But that theme, Sarah, has really carried through. It is they would like to hold on to CUSMA, although they have many suggestions for how they think it could be improved.
Happening at the same time that Donald Trump has publicly floated the idea of walking away from the deal. How's that going down?
And so did his trade representative, Jamieson Greer, suggesting possibly that the U.S. could exit the deal. So it didn't really wash well with people who are pro-trade, obviously. I would point you to Kevin Brady. He's with the Coalition for North American Trade. And this is how he put it when asked what would happen if say, CUSMA were to just go away.
I think it'd be an economic catastrophe for all three countries, including the United States, because of the relationship we have. It is the most consequential trade agreement on the planet, benefits the U.S., Canada, and Mexico dramatically, and it would be a mistake to break up such a proven partnership that, frankly, has room for improvement, is going to be even more important in the future.
So, Sarah, clearly we're hearing many voices from industry who want to hold on to this thing. Why then would the administration maybe float walking away from CUSMA? This is what Goldie Hyder had to say from the Canada Business Council. Just listen to the strategy he thinks might be being employed here.
Well, I think they said it's possible, and it's also possible the Toronto Maple Leafs might win a Stanley Cup one year, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon. I think it's classic negotiation tactics, and I think we should be careful to separate all the noise from where things are actually going. The fact that I'm here, along with colleagues from Canada, U.S. and Mexico, speaking to the review and renewal of the USMCA in a process that's commenced by them, by the government, for over 270 days, tells me that they're very serious about the review and renewal, and they recognize the role it plays in their own economy and why it's in their own interest to ultimately let that happen.
And look, there are months between now, when these sort of preliminary hearings are happening, and when that big joint review is supposed to start in July.
Katie, also happening kind of in the backdrop here is that the Prime Minister is headed to Washington tomorrow. Officially, he's there for the FIFA World Cup draw. We are hearing, though, I think that there's going to be some time in which he may be speaking with Donald Trump.
Yes, he is expected to have a little sort of one-on-one time with the president at the Kennedy Center. Very brief is sort of what has been stressed to us. And really, I know a lot of people will be watching this with intense interest, but really sort of the advice that we've been given is to temper expectations here. But there are going to be so many eyes on this. This is the first time Carney has been here in Washington since October 7th, and the first time since the U.S. called off trade talks in October. So there is, even though this is all supposed to be about FIFA, there's certainly a lot of eyes on this, on whether this somehow starts to thaw that relationship, that so many people are watching, wondering, when can trade talks start again? Could it start with maybe just a one-on-one conversation here on the sidelines of this massive FIFA event? And so there's certainly pressure here, even though we are hearing not to expect too much. But certainly, if you've got a few minutes with the president, quite a bit of speculation that trade would be one of the things that the prime minister would talk about.
CBC's Katie Nicholson in Washington. Thank you.
You're welcome.